Musicians practice scales to strengthen their skills like rhythm and timing. Artists might sketch 100 faces before they've mastered drawing one realistically. Dancers will practice a dance move countless times until their footwork and technique are flawless. Just like those other artists, writers can sharpen specific skills through deliberate practice. In today's video, I'm sharing 5 powerful creative writing exercises from famous authors that will help you practice essential skills like crafting vivid descriptions, writing effective dialogue, creating compelling characters, and more. Number 1. An exercise for creating a captivating setting and mood. When you're writing a story, it's essential to set the right mood for your piece. Establishing a mood will not only make your writing more enjoyable to read, but it will also help your readers connect emotionally with your words. Usually when we write, we're trying to evoke a specific emotion in our audience. Maybe it's fear, or sadness, or happiness, or awe. By creating a convincing mood, we give our readers cues for how they should feel. The mood also helps pull our readers right into the story, just like when you find yourself glued to the screen when you're watching a suspenseful scene in a movie. Award-winning sci-fi writer Damon Knight filled his book Creating Short Fiction with many helpful writing exercises. One of these he designed as a way to practice crafting a strong setting and mood. Imagine a character who is sitting or standing, alone, in the room you are now in. See the room through his eyes. Write a page or so of pure description of the room, without mentioning the character or referring to him in any way, but bearing in mind, as you write, that he has just had a phone call notifying him of a promotion and a raise. Assume that the person lives here, if the room you are in is part of a house or apartment. If it isn't, assume that the job has something to do with this room. How does his emotional state color his perceptions? Remember that you are not allowed to refer to the character even by using a pronoun. I looked at the furniture, for instance. Tell only what he sees. Now, describe the same room as seen by a person who has just had a threatening phone call from a homicidal maniac. Follow the same rules as before. This exercise is an excellent reminder to always tie your description back to your story or to the emotions of your character. Don't just include description for the sake of description. Use it to set the mood. Number 2. An exercise for stepping outside your comfort zone and practicing empathy. In an interview with NEA Arts magazine, Nobel laureate Toni Morrison shared this exercise she gave to her writing students at Princeton. When I taught creative writing at Princeton, my students had been told all of their lives to write what they knew. I always began the course by saying, don't pay any attention to that. First, because you don't know anything, and second, because I don't want to hear about your true love and your mama and your papa and your friends. Think of somebody you don't know. Imagine it, create it. I was always amazed at how effective that was. They were always out of the box when they were given license to imagine something wholly outside their existence. I thought it was a good training for them. Even if they ended up just writing an autobiography, at least they could relate to themselves as strangers. This exercise is a fantastic method for sharpening your skills at creating well-developed characters, whether it's for the protagonist of your story or the antagonist. It will help you practice empathy, the ability to understand and be sensitive to the feelings of others, to be able to see the world through another person's eyes. Damon Knight has several similar exercises in his book. Write a story about some painful episode in your own life, but transfer it to an invented person distinctly different from yourself. Change the character's gender, age, occupation, or all three. Adapt the episode to your character's nature and circumstances. Think of someone in your past for whom you felt only anger and hatred. Write a story from the viewpoint of that person, treated with sympathy. These exercises are designed to break you out of an easy rut you may have got yourself into, writing only about people of one gender, or only about pleasant things, or only about people who resemble you. Unless you force yourself to do difficult things, how will you grow? Number 3. An exercise for writing great dialogue. At the Neuchâtel Fantastic Film Festival in Switzerland, an interviewer asked fantasy writer George R.R. Martin what qualities are needed to be a good writer. Among several pieces of advice, Martin stressed the importance of having a good ear for dialogue and the way people actually speak, the individuality to give each character his own method of speaking. Martin went on to share a writing exercise that can help you sharpen your dialogue skills. I sometimes teach writing classes, and there are various exercises you can give to students. One of them is to describe a half-dozen different characters. Write a speech for each of these different characters without a name tag. Just say, here's a priest, here's a soldier, here's a housewife. Invent whatever you want. Write a speech for each of them in which they don't give their name. Just make each speech sound different from the other so you can instantly know, just from the words, this is the priest speaking. If they all sound the same, you have a problem. They should sound different. A bonus tip: make sure to read your dialogue out loud. That's a fantastic way to test whether your conversations sound realistic. Number 4. An exercise for writing with originality. Robert McKee's screenwriting workshops have earned him an international reputation. His screenwriting students have included over 65 Academy Award winners and 200 Emmy Award winners. In his book, Story, he takes a deep dive into everything that you need to know to write powerful stories. In one chapter, he discusses the importance of originality in storytelling and how clichés make our writing shallow and boring. He writes, "The source of all clichés can be traced to one thing and one thing alone. The writer does not know the world of his story. As they reach into their minds for material, they come up empty. So where do they run? To films and TV, novels and plays with similar settings. From the works of other writers, they crib scenes we've seen before, paraphrase dialogue we've heard before, disguise characters we've met before, and pass them off as their own. Knowledge of and insight into the world of your story is fundamental to the achievement of originality and excellence. But how can we come to know the world of our stories better? Here's an exercise McKee provides. Lean back and ask, what would it be like to live my character's life hour by hour, day by day? In vivid detail, sketch scenes that may or may not find their way into your story, but draw you into your imagined world until it feels like déjà vu. While memory gives us whole chunks of life, imagination takes fragments, slivers of dream, and chips of experience that seem unrelated, then seeks their hidden connections and merges them into a whole. Having found these links and envisioned the scenes, write them down. A working imagination is research. Number 5. An exercise for overcoming writer's block. What if you don't yet have an idea for a story? New York Times bestselling author Dani Shapiro has the perfect writing prompt for you. In an interview, she shared 2 words that instantly help banish writer's block. My favorite prompt is based on a book that was published a long time ago by a writer named Joe Brainerd, and the title is I Remember. In the book, every single sentence begins with the phrase, I remember. When I give that exercise at retreats, I look out from where I'm sitting at a sea of people, and not one of them hesitates. Those are extremely evocative words. I mean, try not to finish a sentence that begins with, I remember. And so, what I suggest to people to do is to just begin. Have a special notebook. Begin with the words, I remember, and write a sentence. Drop down a line. Begin with, I remember, not trying to connect memories. If you think about the way memory works, It doesn't work in a narrative line. It doesn't connect. We don't tell ourselves stories in our heads. We have these disparate memories that don't connect. And when we allow them to be associative and to bounce one off the next, it creates all sorts of interesting material. People almost invariably find memories that they didn't know that they had, or they make connections that they didn't know they had. So it's a good springing off point. Dani Shapiro's exercise reminds me of science fiction writer Ray Bradbury's word association method that he details in his book, Zen in the Art of Writing. In my early 20s, I floundered into a word association process in which I simply put down any word or series of words that happened along in my head. I would then take arms against the word, or for it, and bring on an assortment of characters to weigh the word and show me its meaning in my own life. An hour or 2 hours later, to my amazement, a new story would be finished and done. The surprise was total and lovely. I soon found that I would have to work this way for the rest of my life. First, I rummaged my mind for words that could describe my personal nightmares, fears of night and time from my childhood, and shape stories from these. Then I took a long look at the green apple trees and the old house I was born in, and the house next door where lived my grandparents, and all the lawns of the summers I grew up in, and I began to try words for all that. I blundered into creativity as blindly as any child learning to walk and see. I learned to let my senses and my past tell me all that was somehow true. Final thoughts. Let's conclude with another wonderful quote from Ray Bradbury. I know you've heard it 1,000 times before, but it's true. Hard work pays off. If you want to be good, you have to practice, practice, practice. These 5 exercises are a fantastic way to give your writing skills a workout. Through deliberate practice, you'll take your writing to the next level, crafting truly compelling stories and inspiring more readers with your words. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this one. I recently made a video sharing Ernest Hemingway's favorite writing exercise that you might enjoy as well. If you try out one of these exercises or have another one to share, be sure to leave a comment. And you can also sign up to my email newsletter for more writing resources and inspiration. God bless, and I wish you all the best with your writing projects.